I'm Paul, 30, and I've always thought of myself as a nice guy. Or at least I thought I was. Now I'm not so sure. In fact, I think well, let's just say I'm not sure what I am. But I do know that I'm not the nice guy I thought I was. Why the sudden change? A woman. Not just any woman, but a beautiful woman. 6 feet green eyes, red hair hanging down to the middle of her back, and a body of 91,555, 8,915. If Helen of Troy's face put a 0000 ships to sea, Angel's face would put 10. Angelina Angel, also known as Angel for short, was Thomas Deerfield's wife and my main competitor at Zix Corporation. We started work on the same day, and from day one, it seemed like we were always getting the same promotions. I was the first to get promoted to assistant manager in quality control. Soon after, Tom became assistant manager of purchasing. When the shipping and receiving manager position opened up, we both put ourselves forward. Tom got it a year later, and I got the quality control position. I knew Angel from all the company's social events, and I really looked up to her. I think any man who saw her on her worst day would want her, but Angel didn't seem to play around. I wasn't the type to get involved with another man's woman. Then, one day I was in the right place at the right time. I went to lunch with one of our vendors at Red Lobster, and after we'd eaten, we went our separate ways. Red Lobster was right across the street from the Red Roof Inn, and I looked that way as I walked to my car and saw Angelina Deerfield get out of the car with Billings and head towards one of the rooms. I pulled out my phone and filmed them going into room 117. I moved the car to where I could keep surveillance of the room from and settled in to wait until they came out. 2 hours later, I was even lucky enough to capture their kiss as they drove out of the parking lot. From what I had on my phone, it looked like Dynamite Billings was the vice president of operations at ZX and the person who would be making the decision on who would get the regional manager position that Tom and I had applied for. From what I had just seen, it looked like Tom was going to be the new regional manager, because I couldn't offer Billings anything that could beat Angel. I wondered what it was about the position that Tom was willing to offer Angel to get it. One thing I knew for sure was that my hands were tied. I decided to make the most of the situation and strike while the iron was hot. Angel worked from home, billing several doctors, dentists, and small local businesses. If she was already home from the hotel, I called her home number. "Hello, Angel. It's Paul Camelot. I hope you're having a good day. I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling. I'm fine, but Tom's not here yet. I don't want to talk to him. I'd like to talk to you tonight if you're free." "Are you crazy? What made you think I'd want to go out with you? Maybe it was fate that brought us together. I saw you and Amos Billings walking into room 117 of the Red Roof Inn. Are you on drugs?" "I've never been to the Red Roof Inn in my life. I'm watching a video taken with my phone, and I'm pretty sure it's you kissing Amos after leaving room 117. I've made mistakes in my life, and I'm willing to admit that. I think I need to get a second opinion. Do you think you could get Billings' home phone number for me? His wife doesn't work and she should be home. I'll get her opinion on whether or not Amos is in the video. It doesn't matter. I'm sure he's in the I'm sorry to bother you. Have a good day." Before I could hang up, I heard, "What do you want?" "I already told you. Dinner tonight. What time? And where?" "How about the Hilton, Nebraska?" "All right, I'll see you there." I was smiling when I hung up. I wouldn't get the regional manager job, but I was sure I'd get Angel. Of the two, I was sure I'd like Angel better than the regional manager job. I walked into the restaurant at the Hilton Hotel at 5. I got there at 6 and saw Angel was already there. I said, "I hope I haven't kept you waiting long. I've only just arrived." Then a waitress came and took our drink order. When she left, Angel asked, "So what's all this about?" She wanted to get straight to the point, so I did. "It's very simple. You met with Billings to get Tom the regional manager. You got the job, which means I'm out of the running. I decided I needed a consolation prize, and that was you. You can't be serious, can you? Well, you know what you have, Angel. You know that every man who ever looked in your direction ended up with lustful thoughts of you. I've had those thoughts about you since I first saw you, but I'm a nice guy. Or I was. I buried those thoughts now. I've been thinking about what you did, and I've realized that you've made things very difficult for me. You slept with Amos, which means you've taken away the job I wanted. I think it's only fair that since you've taken away my job, you should sleep with me to make it up to me. You really are, Ann. What if I told you TTO? I'd go to the director of human resources and show him the video. I'd claim I was cheated out of a fair chance. I figured Tom would lose his job as a result, and Amos would be fired or demoted. I wouldn't mind if Tom got the job on his own merits, but trying to steal it by using you just doesn't sit well with me. Tom doesn't know I did it on my own. Do you love him that much? Are you willing to go that far for your man? I don't think so. I did it for me, not him. I don't understand why alimony is based on a spouse's salary. Tom gets a promotion and a raise as soon as he starts working. I'm filing for divorce because I'm completely sick and tired of him cheating on me. He's cheating on you too. It doesn't even make sense. If you were mine, I'd chain you to the bed so you could never escape. Where the hell is he going to find something? It's better than what he already has. The waitress brought drinks and asked if we were ready to order. Angel said, "Why bother? Just get a room so we can get this over with. I'll have the tenderloin, medium rare, mashed potatoes, and glazed carrots." Angel looked at me in disgust and said, "I'll have the same." When the waitress left, Angel asked, "What the hell are you doing? Why didn't we just get a room and be done with it? Didn't I ask you to have dinner with me? We're having dinner, so we both know why you brought me here. We both know what was on my mind when I sat down. But things change now. I want to sit in it and bask in your beauty, cursing myself for not being the person I wanted to be. You're not making any sense. I can sit here and have you all to myself for a while. I still don't see the point in making love on a full stomach. Well, if it's not fun, I guess I'll have to give it up. What you're saying doesn't make sense. I know one of my biggest flaws. I'm told the baked Alaska here is unparalleled. Could you explain to me what you're doing? I told you. I'm sitting here with you, Paul, basking in your beauty, and cursing myself for not being the person I wanted to be. I'm barely out of high school, and Paul and I don't even have an hour of college. So, if you could tell me in plain English what's going on here, I'd appreciate it. Okay, let's be blunt. I came here to blackmail you into making love to me. I thought Tom was using you to get a promotion, so I figured since you two got me out of the promotion, I'd sleep with you behind Tom's back as payback. Then I found out Tom had nothing to do with it, so I couldn't be the person I was going to be. But I still took away your promotion. You have to realize that Tom and I have been rivals since the day we got hired at Zix. As long as it was between Tom and me, I was hoping to get the promotion, so I figured I'd sleep with you behind Tom's back as payback. Then I found out Tom had nothing to do with it, so I couldn't be the one I was going to be. But I still took away your promotion. You have to realize that Tom and I have been rivals since the day we got hired at Zix. I could have justified my actions by saying I was going to get revenge. It was just between us, but I now know he's innocent, so I have no reason to seek retribution. I'm here because I was going to do what you wanted me to do. I was mad at you for setting it up and at myself for giving in to you. Now you're going to give it up suddenly. My ego, she yelled. How can I just walk away from this? I pointed at myself. I know, and I'll probably cry tonight that I missed my chance to get you. Sometimes it just sucks to be me. The food arrived, and we ate in silence. I asked her if she wanted to try the baked Alaska for dessert, but she said no. I paid the bill, walked her to her car, opened the door for her, and said goodnight. That night, Mrs. Might as well be surprised me. She took my head in both of her hands and kissed me so hard my knees went weak. Then she got into her car and drove off. I expected that to be the end of it, but of course it wasn't. 2 days later, I was called into Billings's office. He told me to sit down. Yesterday, I received a call saying that I might have a potential. I get it. The call was from a woman named Angelina. I thought I'd put her at ease. You did, but she thought I might be the one in trouble. No, you didn't. I can't blame you for doing what I probably would have done if I were you. If something sweet came my way, I'd probably bend over backwards to give her what she wants. She's something. I couldn't turn down what she wanted, given what she was offering. Relax, I already destroyed the video. You should know that Deerfield was going to get the job anyway. And that decision was made before Angelina came to me. I should be ashamed of myself for taking advantage of her. You would have wasted the job I gave it to Deerfield. I was saving you for something else. Mattson is retiring in 2 months, and I've already signed you up as his replacement. That's a secret, so let's keep it just between us, okay? You got it. Tom got a promotion, and 6 weeks later I was promoted to Mattson's spot. Now you're asking yourself, he's 30 years old and single. The sad truth is that although I like women, I don't trust them. My distrust started back in high school. I dated Brenda Stewart for 3 months before I asked her to be my girlfriend. She accepted, but 2 months later, she dumped me for the quarterback of the soccer team. Next up was Linda Lewis. She ended it with me because her dad gave her a Mustang convertible for her 18th birthday. We'd been dating for almost 6 months and I thought we were solid. Her prom was the day after mine and we followed an unspoken tradition. We exchanged cherries a month later. She ended up in the arms of a guy who had been my best friend up until that point. Was it different in college? Carol and Rachel Wallace in freshman year, Marcia Loomis and Brianna Spencer in my sophomore year, and Roberta Davis in my third year. All of them left me for someone else, or cheated on me with someone else and got caught. The one that hurt me the most was Elizabeth Martin. We met on the first day of our senior year, and immediately felt for each other. It was like lightning struck us, and we both realized we were made for each other. We were dating by the second week of classes, and were engaged to be married. Liz went to Panama City with her girlfriends during spring break, while I had to stay home due to family obligations. A week before prom, Liz came up to me and told me she was pregnant. I told her we needed to hurry up and get married soon. Then she told me I wasn't the father. I turned and I walked away and never spoke to her again. By the time I graduated from college with a degree in hand, I no longer trusted women like that. My needs were taken care of by 2 girls who worked for an escort service. Given my background, it was easy for me to be with Angelina Deerfield for 6 months. After that night, I was still annoyed with myself for not achieving what I'd planned to do. Not only that, but it meant I'd missed out on getting close to Angel. I'd started seeing my 2 escorts more often. It had been a little over 7 months since I'd started working for Matt. It was about 4. It was a Thursday when my secretary called me on the intercom to say that Miss Parker wanted to see me. She wasn't on the appointment calendar, but she said it was very important for her to see me. I sent her in and opened the door to find Angelina Deerfield standing there. I stood up to greet her and say, "Miss Parker, I took my maiden name when I divorced Tom." I point to the chair and say, "Have a seat. Wanda told me you thought it was important to talk to me." "Well, it may not be important to you, but it is to me. You want to explain the last time we met, you told me that I knew what I had. I remember that well. I tried quite a few of those men before I married Tom, and they all turned out to be the same. I thought I had found a winner in Tom, but he cheated on me before our second wedding anniversary. I don't know why I put up with it for so long, but I eventually got tired of it and decided to divorce him. That's when you showed up. You made your point and I thought, great, another to add to my long list. But then you got me thinking. You caught me. I was ready to give you what you wanted, but then you didn't want to take it. You said it wouldn't be right. I was surprised that none of my acquaintances would walk out on me in those circumstances. You showed me a side of men with principles that I didn't even know existed. I remember you saying that if I were yours, you would chain me to the bed so that I could never escape. I remember all of that. Did you really mean it? I'm doing well, but I'm not quite ready to be chained to a bed. I'd like to get to know a man like that better, since you're single and I'm no longer married. I'm here to see if there's any interest on your part in letting us get to know each other a little." The woman was gorgeous. I was sitting there listening to her and I had a pretty strong reaction. By the time she got to the words, "Is there interest on your part?" I was ready to make it on my desk, but I didn't. I did say I'd really like to get to know you better, though. Since you've taken the initiative by coming here, I assume you already have a plan in mind. In fact, I do. My company is having a banquet tomorrow night and I need an escort. What are you doing tonight? I don't have plans. How about we meet up? Dinner, drinks, and conversation. I'd love to. I looked at my watch and said I should be finishing up by now. How about now? That's fine with me. We can take my car and come back afterwards for yours. That won't be necessary. I drove here in an Uber. We got to talking on the way to the restaurant. I also found out that although she has a car, she doesn't drive it much because parking is difficult in the area around my work. The bus stop is right down the street from my house, and it's right next to work, so I mostly use the bus. Getting to your place today was spontaneous, so I called an Uber over dinner. We also had a few drinks. I found out that she's an only child and graduated from Metro State College with a degree in business management. I reminded her that she'd told me she didn't have a day of college, and I was pretty shocked to find out she'd lied to me. She laughed and said I'd get over it. If she'd been married twice, Tom was her second husband, but she didn't have any children. Maybe one day, but not right now. The next day was a work day for both of us. I took her home at 8, and she kissed me on the cheek. Nothing like the kiss she gave me last time. We were together, but hopefully it was a sign of better times ahead. The banquet was a farewell party for a guy who was retiring and a promotion party for his replacement. I knew of her company and was familiar with several people who worked there. About an hour after we arrived, one of them caught me in the men's room. You caught me in the men's room. How did you manage to connect with Angelina? Everyone here, at least the men, calls her the Ice Queen. Every guy in this place has been interested in her since she started working here. She's been avoiding them all. We know each other. She needed an escort for this party, so I said I'd help. I had nothing better to do. He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "Yeah, right." When I got back to where we were sitting, I told her I found out about her nickname. She didn't understand what I was talking about, so I told her. As Fred had told me, it was no surprise that almost all of them were married, which put them on my long list of people I needed to get to know better. After dinner, there were a few speeches, and everyone started to disperse. People headed into the hall where there was a live band and a dance floor. I assumed Angelina would want to sit with her colleagues. She led me to a table in the corner before I could ask. She said, "I want you to be with me if we sit with a bunch of KO workers. I'll be asked to dance all the time, but I don't want to dance with anyone but you. We tell everyone we want privacy, which we mostly do, but there's always an exception." About 10 minutes after we sat down, a guy came over to the table and, ignoring me, said, "Come on, baby. Let's dance, before Angel." I said sorry, but my date promised all her dancing to me. He looked at me and said, "I wasn't talking to you." I stood up and said, "You have two choices. You can walk away unharmed, or you can be carried out of here on a stretcher by EMTs. The choice is yours, and you have 5 seconds to make it, or I'll make it for you." I made my choice, and it meant flashing lights and ambulances for you. He threw me a dirty look and then turned and walked away. I looked at Angel and asked, "Do you want to dance?" She said yes. When we got out on the patio, she put her arm around me and asked, "Would you really kick his ass?" "Damn right I would," I said. "My job is to protect you. I didn't do it for you, although I would have fought to protect you. Why are you getting in his face?" He disrespected me, and I won't stand for it. He also disrespected you by ignoring me and following you. If he had come up and asked me if I minded him asking you to dance, then everything would have been fine. If he'd asked you, would you have said yes? I'd say I wouldn't mind, but it's up to you. Just so you know, I'd say no. He's a jerk who thinks he's God's gift to women. He's been stalking me since I started work. He just doesn't take no for an answer and keeps coming back. We danced and talked, and she moved closer to me. "You have any idea what you're doing to me?" I whispered in her ear. "Of course I do. Everyone here will see this, and everyone will know I've been kidnapped. From now on, all the wolves will leave me alone." "No, they won't. The male of the species emerges from his mother's factory, programmed to seek out the opposite sex. Some women are more attractive than others. You are one of those more attractive ones. You're married with 5 kids, but men will still hit on you. You're good for a girl's ego. I may have to keep you with me." I thought to myself, I could be that lucky. We stayed on the dance floor for the next 2 numbers. After that, the band took a break. When we got back to our table, there was a very pretty blonde girl there. "What are you doing here, Amy?" "I saw your date, and I wondered if I could talk you into letting his umbrella of protection cover me." Angel introduced us, and then she asked, "How about it?" "Only from Rye," Paul said. "Or from all the men who will ask you to dance. I doubt anyone but Rye will ask me." I raised an eyebrow at that, but no explanation followed. We talked for a while, and then the band came back. Angel asked me to ask Amy out on the park to dance, so I asked Amy if she wanted to dance, and she agreed. She was curious. As we were waltzing, I asked, "You're a very attractive lady. Why are you hesitant for someone to ask you to dance?" "I've had several run-ins with HR because of unwanted male attention. Men now stay away from me, so why do you come here?" "I like to have a drink or two with the girls I work with." But they'd all gone home by then. I still had an almost full glass in front of me, so I decided to stay and finish it. Rye saw me sitting alone and headed in my direction, so I got up and walked over to your table, thinking he'd stay away from you. "I'm sure you can handle Rye." "Yeah, but that would cause a scene, and I didn't want." I also wanted to say thanks for the compliment. The music stopped, and we went back to the table. My next surprise of the evening was that Rye was sitting in my chair talking to Angel. No matter what he said, she shook her head negatively. Amy probably didn't want to make a scene, but it didn't bother me. I'd already made it clear to. Then I didn't want him bothering my date when I got to the table. I grabbed the back of the chair, toppling him backwards and knocking him to the floor before he could recover from his surprise. I put my foot on his neck, crushing him with my 93 lbs. He tried to push me away, but the way he was lying down gave him no footing. I looked down at him and said, "I told you my date is mine for the evening. If you don't leave when I lift my foot and you stand up, I'll hurt you." I lifted my foot and stepped back. I wanted to see what he'd do next, so he got up and ran, really ran, to the door. Angel was smiling at me, and Amy was looking at me with a stunned expression on her face. I pushed Amy's chair back, and after she sat down, I picked up my chair from the floor and sat down at the table. Before I could sit down, though, the waitress appeared with the drinks. She put them on the table and said it was on the house. The manager thanked us for getting rid of the trash can. I guess we were a bit of an unexpected addition to the evening, but we enjoyed ourselves. Angel said she hoped not, but she also said she preferred her evenings to be more relaxed. We chatted, drank, and danced until the band announced the end of the evening. During my last dance with Amy, she slipped a piece of paper into my jacket pocket and said, "If things don't work out with Angelina, call me." I was driving Angel home when she asked me what Amy had put in my pocket. I told her, an idiot, and that I was being nice to her. She said, "Relax," and told me to call her if things didn't work out. So it's down to us now. Do you think anything will happen between us? I really hope so. That's why I asked you to take me to the promotion party. What's the next step? If I wasn't afraid of making the wrong impression, I'd invite you over when you brought me home and we'd have sex. But I guess we'd have to. We should meet a few times and get to know each other better. I felt an instant attraction to you the first time we met. You won't give me the wrong impression if you really want to invite me to your place. In fact, the sooner we find out if we're compatible, the better. She gave me a long look and said, "Okay, honey, you're in Deerfield." Had to. It would have been a bad move to run from Angel. If I had been wearing socks when we got into bed, she probably would have ripped them off me. We did everything in a row. We made love afterwards. She snuggled up to me, and we fell asleep in the morning. She made us breakfast, and I sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee and watching her. She looked at me, and she asked, "Do you think you can maintain a regular diet based on what happened last night?" "Absolutely," I replied. "I don't have any plans for the rest of the weekend." "Me neither," she said. "I think we can come up with something to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we found something to do for the rest of the weekend." On Monday, I was so tired I could barely get out of bed. I had to decide what to do for the next 6 months. We were together almost every night of the week, either in her bed or mine. I knew it couldn't last, so I drove as long as I could. But I knew the train was going to derail eventually. The train wreck happened at the end of our 6th month together. It was a Friday night, and we were wrapping up a night of drinking and dancing with a rocking night on my bed. We were resting up to continue, and she uttered 9 words that made the train derail. "Are you ever going to put a ring on my finger?" I think the word answer may have been the cause of the derailment. "No, you won't tell me why?" I don't trust women like this. I proceeded to explain to her why. She listened and was silent for about 15 seconds before she said that it was a bunch of teenagers from her past going to control her life. "Angelina, do you remember the first time we met?" "I do, but I'm not sure how that's relevant. I thought we had something good." "We did have something good, but my past and what caused us to meet in the first place makes me think otherwise. I don't understand what our first meeting means for us now. It has to do with the fact that you were married to Tom, but you had no problem sleeping with another man behind his back to get what you wanted. Can I trust that you would never do that to me if you wanted it really badly? I don't know, and I don't want to risk finding out." She got up, got dressed, and left. Without another word, I was sorry to see her go. Of course you were. Like I said, we had something great, but that didn't make my reasoning any less valid. Given the way Angel left, I saw no point in trying to call her for the next 6 weeks. I used the service of the 2 escort girls again, and then I got an unexpected call this morning. "It's Paul. I'm disappointed in you. I asked you to call if things didn't work out between you and Angelina. Why didn't you call?" "Honestly, I wasn't in the mood to talk to another woman at the time. Are you ready?" I was ready, and I said so. "How about dinner tonight?" I suggested we talk about it. She gave me her address, and I said I'd pick her up at 6. We walked into Red Lobster, and wouldn't you know it, the first person I saw was Angelina, sitting at a table with 2 other girls. She saw us, and there was an expression on her face that I couldn't read. Amy and I were shown to We placed our order at a booth and waited for half an hour. I needed to use the restroom, and when I came out, I saw Angel waiting for me. "It didn't take you long to get over me, did it? I didn't forget you. Why didn't you call me? If you think that, why didn't you just come over? The way you left told me everything I wanted to know. I have to dash, but I wanted to say that I have a date to get back to." When I drove Amy home, she kissed me on the cheek and asked if we could do this again. "I really hope so. How about Friday? I get off at 5. Would 6 be okay with you? That's fine. She kissed me on the cheek again, and I went home. When I got to work the next day, I started making dinner. The phone rang, and it was Amy. She said she was calling to cancel our date on Friday. Angelina came up to me at work today and said she wasn't happy to see me messing around with her man. I thought it was over. I thought it was over between you two. I hadn't seen you in over a month. I was looking forward to Friday, but after talking to Angelina, I have to cancel. I need this job, and given my already bad reputation as a troublemaker, I can't afford any more hostility. Thanks for calling. I ended the call. I was trying to make sense of what was going on. She'd left me without a word, and then never called me, but I was her man. I couldn't figure it out, so I stopped trying and finished cooking dinner after eating. I tried to watch TV, but my thoughts kept coming back to Amy's phone. I called her and asked what she said to me. If I was Angel's man, why didn't she call me? She had a key to my house, so why didn't she use it? I finally decided that she thought she had me in her grasp. She was waiting for a call that never came. Did I want her to come back? Yes, I did, but I meant what I said when I refused the call. It was probably a bit stupid of me, but that's just how I am. My attitude will never change. Angel will probably never cheat on me, but it's not the same as never. When you say maybe not, it implies that maybe is also present, maybe not. I knew I could never trust her, so there was no point in calling her. 3 more days passed, and one day when I got home from work, I found the dress on the floor. When I walked through the apartment door on the path leading from the dress to the bedroom door, I opened the bedroom door and found Angel on my bed. You've come at a hell of a time. Take that stupid expression off your face. Get undressed and get your ass over here. Just lie down, and let's get started. I smiled and said yes, dear, and then did what she wanted. No words were spoken after my yes, dear, so I kept my mouth closed and watched her work on bringing me back to life. I realized I was acting like a wise ass, so I said, yes, dear, again, and did what the lady wanted. When we were done making love, both of us were staring at the ceiling, trying to catch our breath. She said, you know, you're right. Why do I have to be an idiot? Because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. What was that? You should have. You should have come after me and begged me to come back. You should have taken the ring out of your pocket and said something like, put this on and promise never to leave me again. But you didn't. You didn't even call. My problem was that I was so damn miserable without you. I finally admitted that I needed to be with you, whether you called or not. It was a year of living together before she could put a ring on her finger. She refused at first, and it took me several months to get her to finally accept it. Why such a turnaround on my part? Ralph and Richard, who are Ralph and Richard the twins Angel and I managed to make, she told me she wasn't taking birth control to conceive with me. When I finally got tired of her and kicked her out, she'd have something from me. We needed to get married to make the baby legal. We didn't know it was twins at the time. She said no. Our deal was no ring, and we would live together as friends with benefits. I continued to pursue her. She replied, no, I'm not going to let you think for the rest of your life that I got pregnant on purpose to. I kept asking her to marry me. One day she gave me a piece of paper and told me to read it. It was a prenuptial agreement. If we ever divorced, for whatever reason, she would come out of the marriage with only what she brought to it, which was her maiden name. It gave me sole custody of the children. At the bottom was her notarized signature. The next day we went ring shopping. We got married in a civil ceremony 2 weeks later. 14 years and 5 children later, we still live together. That's the end of the story.